Hey guys, welcome back to Pillbox Movies. I'm Hank, and today I'm going to be checking out the 1956 Hungarian film Merry-Go-Round. This is a film directed by Zoltán Fábri. Merry-Go-Round is considered one of the greatest films of Hungarian cinema. It was elected as one of the Hungarian 12 representative films, the best films of Hungarian cinema. Fábri is renowned as one of the great Hungarian directors. I've never seen any of his movies, so I figured this would be a good place to start. So yeah, let's watch Merry-Go-Round. Filmarchivum. Quality assurance. Getting to see that good old Soviet logo in front of your movie. Mari Kiss. I'd love to have a name like that. I wonder how they capture that shot so stably. So stably? With such stability. That's pretty cool, I gotta admit, that's pretty cool. Man, remember back in the day when people actually took the time to develop a skill? Even if it was a useless skill, they still had the time to do it. Sándor. Did we cover... There's another character named Sándor in one of the movies we've done for the channel. I mean, I don't know if I've published it yet or not, but it was probably Sándor. I honestly haven't covered that many Hungarian films on this channel. Oh, that's right. It was on Body and Soul.
Meg aztán annyi, ott bent a jöttmen mit ugrálsz ember. Kiveszem én azt a nyós hódat, ami az enyém.
Hungarians do love their on-the-spectrum female leads. Nice little carriage sequence. I mean, I really love the communal aspect of this. If anything, it reminds me of the community that's presented in Bitter Rice. It's a very different portrait of a different era of community and of courtship. The idea of courtship being built within a community, that the community kind of encourages or ratifies a relationship. It's not so different from what we would experience like 10 or 15 years ago, where a friendship, like a friend group, would certify a relationship or kind of like, or legitimize a relationship. And something we kind of lack these days, where it's all up to kind of individual relationships, and it's all about like making determinations and courting somebody on your own.
Hát mikor léptek ki? Vagy talán már ki is léptek? Mink nem lépünk ki. Mink elég jó érezzük magunkat ott bent. Most meg csak az előleg is. 25 mázsa élet.
This movie kind of has a wonderful simplicity and concentration on human faces. Similarly, I suppose, like the Trial of Joan of Arc, Passion of Joan of Arc. I mean the drier one. Oh, that's a fun ride. I'd freak out on that. I love these shots on the like the machines and stuff. I have such a difficult time like figuring out how they managed to get like the amount of control they needed for these shots. But it's very daring to just, you know, put your equipment on these fucking things and shoot it. It brings a kind of like a lovely like vitality to the movie. I probably haven't published it on all of them on the channel, but I love a good like fair sequence or a carnival sequence. It's been done over in a couple of films that I've watched for this channel, including, oh my god, that's such a beautiful shot, including Lola from 1961 and Picnic from I think the same year as this, or close to it, 1956 maybe? 55? There's like a beautiful kind of simplicity to the editing style, the era in which this is being shot in, where you see kind of very simple sequence of like action and reaction. It's a very simple kind of like back and forth kind of editing that's very slow and like pleasant. I really, really love these like ride shots. I wonder if there's going to be a kind of like a clash or a conflict built out of these two different conceptions of what this like fair's purpose is. The younger generation viewing it as a time to like fall in love or to play or to see your friends. The older generation viewing it as a means of congregation, as like a town square of coming to a decision or making decisions about the community and its future. Kind of like very like leisure-based versus utility-based conceptions of what these events or these congregations are for. Wow. It's beautifully filmed. You even still kind of like capture the grandeur of the vistas in black and white. And even at like close to nighttime.
Hát a pádék még nem gyűjtek meg. Beválasztották az elszámoltató bizottságba, úgy látszik azért késik.
Yeah, constant mention of the father's committee, his duties, or rather perhaps his obsessions, his vanities.
Én te veled akarok. Tudod jól. Tudod?
Should you really be asking her this directly while you've cornered her at home when her parents aren't there?
Kicsi lelke.
Ennyi. Először mit csinálnak?
It's very kind of bracing how intimate you are with Mari's perspective. It draws you really, really close into the things that she sees and experiences. I'm not sure if they'll develop it further, but they reserve a very special place for kind of demonstrating the perspective, the specific emotions of Mari. Everybody else is kind of kept at to a certain degree, an objective distance.
Hey, de sokszor keservesen sóhajtottam én is. Miért is asszonynak születtem? Csak megütöttem a számot. Adjak hálát az Istennek, hogy ilyen jó embert kaptam.
See, again, it's very simple, but these ways that were put into Mari's perspective, her mother speaking to her, and having her be like close up in the foreground, almost as though her mother's speaking to us as well. It's so delicate how many kind of emotions or feelings we get from Mari's reactions. I gotta make a list of which of the movies I've done like focus on like farm life or the country life. It's a different perspective from what I usually lead with this channel, but I really appreciate the simplicity of some of these stories. They're really like getting so much emotion out of this actress with very, very small kind of shots or scenes.
Van, hogy bent vannak az emberek, talán hozzájuk jött.
Hát csak úgy, éppen hogy jöttem.
And I also like this contrast that Mate is presented as like this threat or cause for concern for Mari's mother and for Shandor, because he's coming into this house as an intruder, when the previous scene is actually established that the man that they have allowed in their house, the suitor, is the actual threat, is the one who actually poses imminent kind of danger or concern to Mari. In more ways than one, parents are unable to see what is best for their children, or worse, what's dangerous.
Hogy hát mink mostan olyan eljegyzésformán ünneplünk. Családi körben.
Maguk odabenn, mi idekint. Nem tudunk mi már egymásnak okosat mondani.
Yeah, this kind of systematized in-group, out-group mentality that everybody within your group is trustworthy or protected or represents the same values as you, and everybody outside represents something foreign, something distrustful, something that doesn't share in the same values. And already in quite small scenes, they've demonstrated that that's not the case. I don't know why, I just really love like a carriage sequence. It's so like open, it's so wide, while also being kind of intimate, but like, I like how much space there is in it. It feels different from a car sequence, which is really fast moving. You don't really get to take anything in, and it's also like claustrophobic in its own way, being in that giant shell.
Szeretlek téged. Csak téged, senki mást.
Nem, Máté. Tudod, hogy nem lehet erről beszélni.
Gyűj az apád isteni!
Jó napot. Az ebéd.
Jó van, jó, csak tedd le. Tedd a kályhára, hadd melegedjék.
It really sucks that Mari went through this whole kind of like emotional journey, that she had this kind of like conflict with Mate, and her father only sees her by her function, her duty.
Otthon kiabáljon, elvtárs.
Micsoda?
A maga portáján.
I like how much of a distance there is, like, cinematographically between Mari and Mate now. Despite their kind of like love or attraction to each other, they just cannot be on the same page in this instance, even if they're kind of like on the same side.
Azt a 20 hódat én oda nem adom az Atya Úristennek sem.
The movie's very careful with where it dispenses like scenes of like closeness between its characters. I was thinking about how in the opening scene at the fairgrounds, how many people there were and how close everybody was with each other, how much like familiarity and bond there was displayed between characters. And when we went into the Pataki household, it was suddenly like more barren and just a little bit more distant. And now that we're at the collective and we're discussing like parcels of land and bureaucracy and rules and stuff and order, everybody's really, really distant from each other, and they're smaller and smaller in frame. It's very, very simplistic, but like beautiful in its execution. The distance between her and Mate.
Ha nincs más dolgod.
Nincs. Ennél fontosabb nincs.
I'd love for us to get back to this kind of blocking every so often. Not for every movie, obviously, if it would feel anachronistic, but you can allow for there to be like side by side or diagonals blocking, and the audience will understand, even if the characters aren't talking face to face with each other, that they're still communicating with each other.
Drágaságom, én úgy, de úgy szeretlek téged. Én nem tudok nélküled csak meghalni, te.
I'm not sure if this is meant to be taken as like a good thing necessarily. But I did like the reintroduction of the kind of carousel theme, the merry-go-round theme, into this admission.
Kedvemért, Máté. Ne gyere tovább, ha rosszat nem akarsz én nekem.
This poor girl. I don't think this is really that important, but seemingly within like the visual language of the movie seemed to be like safer with like the circle of the carousel of the merry-go-round, and it seems like instances of traveling in a straight line of directness seem oppositional or antagonistic. Mari and Mate have fought twice while on the road with each other. It seems like bad things happen on the straight road. They've even blocked it so that when she has this scene with Shandor, she's like more distant. She's further away, and she's out of focus, almost as though she doesn't wish to engage with him. I wonder if there's something to framing Mari on the left side of the frame. There seems to be in a lot of her like conversations and interactions that she's framed like camera left, and her suitors are framed on the right. There is kind of like a preference in the way that they choose to tell the story that in these scenes at least, Mari's presented on the left side of the frame. And I really like, even in this like emotionally bare scene with Mate, that he's still framed at a distance from what we see with Mari, that we're not totally in it with him. We're seeing him framed with like the hand of one of the other men in the shot. And so it's not directly about just his emotions, it's also about how his emotions are being perceived by the other men in the scene. We will never like be as intimate with Mate or with any character really in quite the same way, or with as habitually as we are with Mari. It's almost like watching a silent film, how like simplistically it tries to convey the story just through like a series of images. And we get another revolution. I love that carrying her directly into that close-up so that she can see Mate come in. It's bloodletting. It's bloodletting.
Ma este senkivel sem fog táncolni. Csak veled. Soha oda nem adnak neki. Soha. Érted?
Yeah, the skirts going up, kind of implying the sexual desire or the undercurrent that's within this dance. Reflecting back on their first experience on the swing. Oh man. He's gonna drum up trouble for them. Oh man, they are sweating for each other.
Ott aztán összerakták. Feküdtem vele, vagy 3 hétig, aztán hazavittek szekély.
That's a beautiful profile. What a beautiful profile shot. I love the repetition of the breaking of the shot glass as well, but quite differently. He doesn't actually break his. You just see the tension in him, but he's still more controlled than Mate. Okay, well, they're following a different eye line, but whatever. That also happened in Philosopher's Stone. Beautiful, beautiful close-ups. I really can't speak highly enough of them. They really do find a lot of expression in this actress's face without her, you know, really expressing that much, but the kind of context that's poured into this really allows Mari Pataki to really bloom in the performance. I like that the instrumentalists and musicians don't even take heed of what's going on. They're kind of just like this bacchanalian force. They're only obliged to the passion. It's a vivid film. Just incredibly expressive. Jeez. It's a wonderful rack focus.
Nem versenyezhetett vélem.
It's an incredible film. Just so vivid.
Ilyet tenni, mikor ott van a vőlegényed. Csak úgy adnak, vesznek. Ha hagynám!
I love the progressive introduction of water, of moisture. It's just beads of water and sweat and carnality coming alive. So when she's defiant, she's on the right side of the frame. Yo, King Triton, you are not going to be able to stop Ariel. The only thing you can decide is whether or not this ends with a marriage or with a tragedy.
Hát igenis, vegye tudomásul, nem megyek hozzá Farkas Sándorhoz. Kiszaladok a világból. Engem itthon többet nem lát.
He can't see this. He obviously doesn't know. But she's been so devout to him this entire time. It's been such a battle for him to, for her to stay faithful to her parents and to their will. And it's been like him pushing so hard for these things that's eventually driven her to this point of excision, to this point of desperation. He only sees the defiance. He hasn't seen how many times he's had to betray her faith to reach this point.
Azt hiszed te? Annyi az csak, hogy... Hozzá megyek! Nem megyek hozzá! A főd házasodik.
God, he's so frightening. Just look at his eyes glaring. They found like the perfect lighting, the perfect distance, his like rage, but also his like pettiness is exploding off of the screen. I don't know if it's like the communist bent to this movie, but there's like an obvious criticism of his materialism in this movie. How much he cares about possessions and debts and ledgers.
Mit akarsz? Felégetni a fejünk fölött a házat? Neki mindjárt az eresznek. Nem maradjon belőle semmi. Azt mehetünk kódulni akkor.
It's a wonderful portrayal, very close to real life, how imposing the father is, and yet simultaneously how morally weak and craven he is. Just a wonderful, wonderful portrayal of fatherhood. And a fatherhood that sees its child as transactional. As a barter chip.
Hát, ha csak így lehet, akkor fogjuk a petróleumot. Neki az eresznek, édesapám. István! Egy újjal nyúljon hozzám!
Holy shit. Yeah, that's not a good dad. I don't know if you've been on the dad's side this entire time, but when you see a guy throw an axe at his daughter, that's probably a signal that he doesn't have good values. I'll be forever mad at commentators or people who ascribe virtue to parents and defiance and rebellion to children. I'm gonna let you in on a secret. It's not always so clear-cut. There isn't always one sole good guy and one sole bad guy, but generations previous to yours had their suspicions about their parents as well.
Mari!
Is this gonna end with a train? I wouldn't have expected that.
Máté, édesem, mi lesz velünk?
I really like the idea of that shot, but it was never going to be perfectly executed. There was never going to be the perfect moment to tilt from their facial expressions down to their hands and make it seem smooth without leading the audience on.
Akkor minek bánt én velem így?
A jány megbolondult.
Megint egy évet nyúzzak végig. Várjak egész nyáron. Egész ősszel egyedül. Jövő télig.
I can see him on an incel forum right now, clamoring about how there should be state-mandated wives.
De hát azt hiszi, hogy tűröm én ezt. Perre megyek magával, ha helyre nem hozza.
Tá még sámlit is tegyek a lábad alá, hogy az ágyba segítselek. Én tanítsalak meg, hogy kell a lányt megtartani magadnak, he?
Oops, maybe you shouldn't suck so much. Oh god, everybody's so dumb. I support everybody in their endeavors, but they really do act a fool. Just don't go back hand in hand. Ugh. Young love, young but dumb and full of cum. They both have weapons in their hands. It's just not a good idea. Ooh, and I like the repeated motif of his tapping. Am I thinking of a different movie? This is a me problem, not a you problem. This is just watching too many movies problem.
Hát elárverezték mi. Én munkám után adó. Ez egy szó sincs.
They have found actors with wonderfully expressive eyes in this movie. And wonderfully expressive eyebrows. It's all about framing the face. That's what eyebrows and mustaches are for. Don't do it. Oh, everybody's so foolish.
Feleségül veszem Mari.
Ti dolgotok.
And the father's stuck in this kind of repetitive loop.
Persze, hogy ez.
He can't help but just do the same thing over and over again, even if something's changed in him.
A mi életünk, a Mari meg az enyém egészen más.
Good talk, Dad. Just a couple of dudes communicating with each other. Dads are fucking weird. Dads are fucking weird.
kedves.
Yeah, starting the shot on the calf was very unsubtle. That's sweet. They are all fucking so hard. I've never... Just an incredibly blatant display of sexual bliss. People think, you know, Hitchcock with the train. This is an incredible display of an orgasm. It's the whole world orgasming. It's a vivid film. Wonderfully, wonderfully expressive. Incredibly stark. Incredibly simplistic in its presentation. The ending was a bit of a letdown for me, or a bit anticlimactic for me, but that's because I was primed to expect a blood wedding ending. Blood Wedding, the play by Federico Lorca and the film adaptation by Carlos Saura. It's one of my favorite films, Bodas de Sangre. So I was expecting something in that vein. I can understand in a lot of instances why they didn't choose to go in that direction with this movie. I don't know whether it's cultural or specific to the author or the politics of the time, but if it was because of the politics and this was like a Soviet film that wanted to show an optimistic outlook for its citizens or for its future, I can understand how that might shape the ending of the source material or the ending of this movie in particular. While I don't always agree with those kind of mandates or those reasons, like America has had similar systems in place, like with the Hays Code, determining that every movie should have a happy ending in a decade of producing films. So historically, we have not been any better. Yeah, there's just like wonderful simplicity to this movie. Like, for me, pretty close to a silent film in how expressive it was, how little of its story it chose to tell through dialogue or even through necessarily too many audio cues. A lot of it was told in silence, in juxtaposition, in within the shots, basically. Like, it made a lot of use of every single frame, and every single shot was utilized to express something. And in addition to the shots, the compositions being beautiful, the editing, the flow of ideas from one shot to another was so simple and so traceable. It was a really, really easy film to kind of digest and to follow the through line for. I mean, you could say that's because of a very simple story or a very simple way of filming, but really, I can't really commend the editing enough in this. It's a very simple approach, but I wouldn't say it's easy. This movie, for something that's made in the 50s, something that's telling a kind of like a downcast or downtrodden story of like farmers, of people in a village, people living a very kind of slow country life. It told it through the editing in a way that was very efficient and engaging. It's I don't know, like if you would take this and put it directly against Picnic, the American film from 1956. When was Picnic actually? 56, 57, 55? Yeah, 55. If you put this directly side by side with Picnic, I think you would see a lot of things that Picnic is doing that this film isn't. Picnic is playing around enormously with color, and with action, and with dialogue, and with like a lot of like props and spectacle in a way that this movie isn't. But if you look at like how the story runs along on a track, how easily the story kind of advances, I think this might have Picnic beat. This was like this managed to tell a simpler story more vividly, and I think something like Picnic, something more Hollywoodish, kind of sags a little under its own weight. This is a great film. I could see why it's beloved in Hungary. You should check it out, certainly. That was Merry-Go-Round. That was a lot easier than I was expecting it to be, and kind of like flush with sexual energy. It kind of reminded me of Blood Wedding, Little Mermaid, certainly, Mademoiselle. A really beautiful film. Yeah, that was Merry-Go-Round. Let me know if you've seen any Zoltán Fábri movies, if you have any recommendations. I know the one that people talk about is The Fifth Seal. We'll certainly watch that on this channel if I get the chance. I just realized that I wanted to take a break from what I've been doing and focus on like a culture or a country that I haven't given a lot of time on this channel. And then I realized, going back in the last few weeks, I've done a lot of Hungarian movies. But whatever, I really enjoyed this. Yeah, that was Merry-Go-Round. Let me know what you think. Don't forget to click the like button and subscribe for more old, obscure, and art house films if you like this kind of stuff. But regardless, until next time, keep watching good movies.